Welcome again to this week's episode of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I am your host, Bronagh Morgan, and I am always so privileged to talk with people who are so passionate about causes here in London and area, people who are working for positive change, supporting our community members, in particular, our most vulnerable community members, people who, really need our help. There is a fantastic organization in this area, the Thames Valley CMHA. So that's the Canadian Mental Health Association, and the Thames Valley, affiliate, or the Thames Valley version, really puts in their name even that they look after addictions and mental health. And there is a reason for that. We are fortunate today to be speaking to Linda Sibley, who is the co-CEO of Thames Valley CMHA Addiction and Mental Health. Welcome to the show, Linda, and maybe tell us a little bit about why that is so important.
Well, thank you, Bronagh, for having me today to speak about mental health and addictions, and in particular, our new branch. We're passionate about the work we do because there is, of course, a lot of work to be done, and in particular, because of the pandemic and many other economic and personal social factors, people in the community are perhaps more vocal about their struggling, or they are struggling more. And so we're really passionate about making sure that people know that there is access to help and that they don't have to struggle alone. So that really fuels the passion of our organization. And we are happy to be here to talk to you a little more about that.
And especially now, it's timely. Well, it's always timely to be talking about addictions and mental health issues. It is these are situations, these are experiences that they touch everybody's life in our community, regardless of who you are, where you live, where you come from, what your family situation, your work situation. Everybody's life is touched by the work that you do and these issues. So, Linda, in particular, in our area, clearly, we hear talk about the mental health pandemic. We know that this has been a huge problem prior to COVID. You mentioned a little bit about how things have, obviously been exacerbated over the last couple of years. Talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the statistics and some of the issues that we're facing in this area.
Well, Bronagh, you've made such a really accurate description of what it is that's happening to people in the community, and the way that you've described that it affects everyone. Really, no family or group of individuals is exempt. And so not only has this always been the case, but we're now in a position where we can really continue to educate the public and each other about how this happens to all people in all walks of life and all cultures, and that our community is no different than any other. So you've really, accurately described it, and I thank you for that, because this is the part of sort of some of the biggest part of what we have to do is to continue to educate. There's no question that it's sort of more in our consciousness, and that had been happening pre-pandemic. People are aware that mental health and addiction concerns can affect anyone, and actually anyone of any age. We know that children and youth, young children, are affected by the pandemic right now, and so there's this real awareness, and perhaps, I guess we hope, more of a willingness to talk with one another, to be able to reach out for the help that they need. And so because of the pandemic, we know that there have been specific surveys done by many groups, many organizations, CMHA Ontario, CMHA National, as well as many others, who are all pointing to the same evidence, and that is that individuals and families are struggling to some degree. Some people have focused on fitness and health and really concentrated on family, so lots of that is happening as well. But we mustn't forget that not everyone has access to the same, family resources or information or to formalized help. So this has been a good opportunity for us to be able to start that conversation again and ramp it up a little bit. We now have access to free virtual services. If there's one thing the pandemic has taught us, It's the power of the virtual, and that it is a very powerful way for people to connect. And everyone in social services and business, and certainly in our counseling and case management, our education has all become virtual. We are re-entering the phase where we're doing face-to-face again and welcoming the public back into some of our spaces, because some of them were all virtual. Essential services carried on face-to-face, just like other kinds of healthcare. But we have access to programs like Bounce Back, Breaking Free. If you want information about that, please go to our website at cmhatv.ca, and we can get you the information that you need to access resources. And as always, there is access to counselors, and other people can help steer you to resources or referrals, or bring you into some of the programs that we have as well. So never has there been such I think an opportunity for people to help each other. And with Mental Health Week coming up next week, we're in a position to get that information out by social media and in opportunities like this, Bronagh, to be able to talk with the greater public through Rogers to say, give us a call, even if it's just information, and that we don't have to fix everybody. That's one of the major messages of Mental Health Week next week, is that we just have to be there for people. And there are, people who have specific skill sets because of their profession who can do the actual helping and help redirect people to, maybe regain a more positive attitude, or to work on issues related to consumption is up with alcohol, gambling, gaming. All of these issues are quite apparent in the surveys that have been done. So there's no time like now to just scale it back. And we can, professionals can help you with that. There's always been access to self-management groups like 12-step groups as well, always available to people to get the help that they need. So it's really important to remember just to be empathetic with people, just listen to them, be there for them, and don't take it upon yourself to think that you're the one that has to do the intervention, because there are many resources that are available to the community.
Fantastic. So much information, and we're going to have to take a little break right now, but we're going to have some more time with Linda Sibley, co-CEO of Thames Valley CMHA, after the break. So please stay with us, because we're going to dive more into how, this week, Mental Health Week, the theme is empathy, how you can learn it and how you can show it to your friends, neighbors, family, and everybody in the community. So please stay with us.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Blow out all candles before you leave the room or go to bed.
Never leave a burning candle unattended.
When you go out, don't forget to blow out.
Rogers TV has given me a ton of opportunities, including meeting new people, getting involved with my local community, and trying a ton of variety of different production roles, such as graphics, camera, and audio.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Cameron, host at Sportsnet. And that's the question mark for what the next step the NHL and the players will take. I decided to volunteer at Rogers TV because I was in broadcast journalism school in London, Ontario, and I wanted to get a little bit more experience. So Jeremy didn't do too great in Ultimate Frisbee.
No.
I wanted to learn behind the scenes, learn different roles, while at the same time figuring out what I like to do.
I'm a little afraid, but I'm kind of excited too. I mean, look at this getup. Is this not the coolest?
My time at Rogers TV really helped me in my career because it really set the stage for what I do now. I was learning about radio broadcasting in school. All of my TV experience came from Rogers TV.
I look the part though, right?
Exactly.
With this and the camera, I'm all set.
Especially working on air, that definitely helped me land a job at Sportsnet.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh Morgan, and I've been having a fascinating conversation with co-CEO of Thames Valley CMHA, Linda Sibley. Linda, you touched a little bit on the theme of Mental Health Week that begins May 2nd, and that is empathy. And I did a little bit of reading about it, and I know that it's the concept that empathy is something you can not only show, but you can also learn. Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about empathy and why this is so important in terms of the theme for this particular year for Mental Health Week.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to talk a little bit about that. Empathy, some people have a natural ability to be empathetic. Sometimes to the far end, the needle goes a little too far. Other people really struggle with it because they don't agree perhaps with, the behavior that they're seeing or the way someone, is right now. And that could be if, people are talking about their use of substances or, that they don't want to completely abstain from a substance. They want to learn how to use whatever it is, alcohol or cannabis or whatever, in a reasonable or a less harmful way. But in the heart of the listener, they think, but I don't think you should do that. And so same comes for, if people have depression or anxiety, very misunderstood. And so the listener very often will jump into advice giving. And, one of the things that we've learned in, the helping profession is that unsolicited advice feels like confrontation. And so what will happen is you will back that person away from you because maybe they just want to talk. They just want to say what they're experiencing. And so learning how to be empathetic is about listening. And, it's that old, there's 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you should use the ears more. And so it's a skill to not jump in and try to assist because it comes from a good place. People are passionate about helping their loved ones and their friends and family, especially when they are reading that people are distressed. So empathy can be learned and it can be practiced. And on all of the social media, you'll see websites on, mentalhealthweek.ca, and there's tips and tools, and it's going to be a lot of conversation on social media next week. And of course, there will be materials available for the public, both for people who are looking for themselves as well as who are looking for others. Of course, empathy at this time is so critical because you've probably noticed that there's a real divisiveness that has been perhaps, I don't think it's been created by the pandemic, maybe in some cases, but it's been, I guess, illustrated. We're seeing,
or maybe exacerbated a little bit because people, I guess when we talk about, this used to be a Twitter-based show, and we'll be going back to that, I think, when we return to the studio, but the way people behave online. So when you have that degree of separation from people, as opposed to being in the presence of other people. And obviously that is a factor that we, some of us have been limited in our access to other people. So maybe that a little bit exacerbated the situation.
Yeah, I think it has. And people they feel freer to say things with their keyboard than they would ever say face to face or in public or in a group or at the family dinner table. And so, what we're finding is people have become divided, and that can make anyone who's struggling with mental health or addiction issues more isolated because they feel like they can't reach out. We know that families are feeling a lot of strain. Some family members aren't speaking to others, and friend groups have been shattered somewhat. So maybe a lot in some cases. So we really have to come back to the center, come back to that space that we were in where, yes, there was the odd thing. We don't want it to go underground, but we have to learn how to be respectful again. People are angry, they are distressed, and there's, I guess there's been nowhere to release that. I mean, unfortunately, we know that in terms of family violence and intimate partner violence, there has been an increase because people have been held in their family situations that may be incredibly dangerous and dysfunctional. Those people need to be able to reach out. We need to reach out to our friends and family who we're worried about So if you're not sure how to be as empathetic as you think you might need to be, check it out online, call CMHA, Thames Valley. We will, help you with resources. We'll be posting all kinds of resources on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on our website. So, I think I mentioned Twitter, and in French as well. So we do have French resources as well. And we just want people to do the best they can to help each other. There's never been such a need in the community.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful to know that there are so many services and so many different ways to access services. So whether you are somebody who really needs to meet with somebody in person, or whether you would prefer to be meeting online for whatever reason, all those options are available to you. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And if you prefer virtual work, there's self-directed virtual work. You can work virtually with a counselor. You can come virtually to public education and classes, community, facing education sessions as well. So there's so much that we have available, and that's right across Thames Valley. So Oxford, Elgin, as well as London and Middlesex, we have physical sites that you can come to, and you can contact us. You can work, with people or virtually with people. And we're finding that the connection is super strong, even if it's virtually. We've learned a lot through the pandemic, so we're pretty good at it now.
Fantastic. It's great to know that resource is available. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, Linda. We're going to have to take another break, and we've got another fascinating guest talking more in anticipation of Mental Health Week after this. Please stay with us.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
You know what? Operation Smile, alongside our medical volunteers, provides safe cleft surgery to children free of charge, thanks to generous donors like you. That was until we fell into a pandemic. If you only knew what I'm going. By December, tens of thousands more children will be waiting for surgery. Please help us keep our promise and deliver smiles to children in need when surgeries resume.
Jeff from Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff. We're back for season 3. We've had the opportunity to see some great backyards and have some great barbecue. Join us, Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff.
Hi, my name is Gerald. I'm a volunteer here at Rogers TV. Really happy with all the great things I've learned doing video productions for Rogers, all the great people I've met, and being part of a great community.
You're watching Rogers TV, London.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh. We've been having conversations today with respect to Mental Health Week, the absolute mental health, pandemic that we've been dealing with alongside of the other pandemic that we don't have to obviously mention the name of. We're really lucky to have another professional who is serving our community through the Thames Valley District School Board. She's the mental health lead. Her name's Catherine Lambert, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit today about some of the initiatives that are involved right now to serve our young people, our students who are, they've been in particularly hard hit because of all of the different impacts of the pandemic, isolation, restrictions on their activities. Thank you for coming today, Catherine, to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the school board.
It's great to be here, Bronagh. Thanks for having me.
So in anticipation of Mental Health Week, which is running May 2nd to 8th, and the whole month, I know that Thames Valley is going to be marking Mental Health Week, but you're obviously ongoing dealing with the really tough situations that kids have been placed in the last couple of years. Talk to us a little bit about how young people have really been uniquely impacted by the restrictions. And I know that mental health has, it's been an ongoing struggle because there's always been wait lists and, the different ways that kids are impacted by all of the difficult challenges in our community right now. So, let's hear your perspective.
For sure, yes. And I appreciate recognizing that mental health for children and youth has been an ongoing concern even before the pandemic. But we have noticed some differences if we compare what was happening before the pandemic compared to now. So we have noticed an increase of mental health and well-being concerns for our children and youth across all demographics. But we know that some communities have been disproportionately impacted as well. We also have noticed the average age, so younger children struggling more with their mental health compared to before the pandemic. So that's one of the trends that we're noticing and kind of revising how we're offering support to our youngest students as well as youth. Children and youth who had pre-existing mental health issues before the pandemic have really struggled as well, which is completely understandable. As you said, there's been less, support available for families during the pandemic, an increase of isolation. We've gone on to remote learning, back to in-person learning, back and forth, and those transitions are really hard for children and youth. And we recognize the important role the school has in supporting the well-being and mental health of all of our students. And so this year, we've really been focusing on supporting the adults in our schools, all the educators, principals, vice principals, office staff, to really understand the important role they all have in connecting and forming positive and supportive relationships with students, because not every student needs to go to a counselor, right? What we need is to have a caring adult that they can go to when they need help and feel comfortable enough talking about their feelings, their emotions, and supporting kids and creating the environment in our classrooms for our teachers to do check-ins with our kids and have those conversations in a supportive way. Obviously, some children and youth and some of our students need more support. And that's, we work in partnership with our community agencies to really look at how do we best streamline access to counseling and treatment for kids who may need that. But really, the pandemic's been difficult on adults as well as kids. And we recognize that families, parents and caregivers of our students, they have also been really impacted by the stress of parenting through this pandemic. And we want to make sure that the school community is supportive to them as well. So looking at how we can do that more intentionally and more comprehensively going into next year.
Absolutely. And I know obviously this has been a huge challenge because people have not been able to, speaking as a parent of school age children, you can't be in the schools. You're having less interactions with your children's teachers. Virtual is great, but there is obviously something to be said for being in person. Now that most schools are back to being in person, most students are back in the classroom. I guess I'm glad you touched on this because you can't really overstate the role that teachers and educational professionals have in the lives of children. It's not just about learning math. It's about being that caring adult, being, another person in that child's life that they can go to if they need to talk and somebody that can recognize, I guess, warning signs or, risk factors in that child's life. So it's just great to know that there's support not only for the children, but also for those educators, because that's such a big job, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we know the kids can't learn if they're stressed out in class, right? And so we have to help them feel calm. And we do that through relationship building and, creating a safe environment for them. So definitely that's what our educators strive for every day.
Can you talk to me, Catherine, a little bit about some of the events that you have coming up to mark Mental Health Month, I guess Mental Health Week, and also in the month beyond?
Absolutely. So on May 4th, we have a parent and caregiver virtual workshop, and it's called Family Mental Health and COVID-19 Pandemic. So we have Dr. Daphne Korzak she's a child and adolescent psychiatrist from Sick Kids Hospital, and she'll be talking to parents about the impact COVID has had on children's mental health. She did some research through Sick Kids, so is able to highlight some of those trends and offer parents some strategies as well. On May 31st, so throughout the month of May, we have an initiative called the Heart of Mental Health. And this is a really fun initiative, and it celebrates the importance that the role of art plays in mental health and well-being. So whether that's dance, music, creative arts, drama. And so we know that that's an outlet that helps us manage stress. And so we've partnered up with our arts portfolio. And throughout the month of May, people are able to use the hashtag Heart of Mental Health and post pictures or videos of them engaging in the arts. And then on May 31st, in the evening, we have a virtual celebration gala that we partner with the London Arts Council for. So we have some professional local artists that are going to be mentoring some of our students for some live performances. And it's really going to be a celebration. It's not learning, it's not a workshop. It's really engaging in some interactive arts together virtually in partnership. And that's going to be live streamed and opened up to everyone in the community to celebrate really and highlight the importance of tapping into our creativity to help manage through difficult times. So those are two initiatives that we wanted to highlight, in addition to supporting the CMHA's campaign as well throughout the month, throughout the week, the first week in May.
Absolutely. And we talked a lot with our first guest about the theme being empathy this year, how to show empathy and maybe even how to learn empathy. How does the school work with their students and the professionals in the schools as well to, I guess, develop that empathy piece?
Well, we're uniquely positioned where we get to work with kids of all ages. And so right from our little kindergarten students, helping them develop those healthy relationships. So what does it mean to be a good friend, right? And so a lot of our lesson plans incorporate those social and emotional skills right into our daily routines in school. And so absolutely, we love the theme of the importance of empathy in supporting mental health. And I think for us, it's those key messages with our staff, but mostly with our students in relation to tuning in. You don't have to have a solution to the problem, but sometimes having a listening ear and being empathetic and just seeking to understand and not always try to problem solve are really good messages for all of us to think about when we're looking at supporting friends and family. And so throughout all of our grades, those healthy relationship skills are being reinforced on a daily basis. So we really support the campaign and we'll be participating in that, promoting that on social media, but as well in our classrooms throughout the week.
Fantastic to hear. So, Catherine, that's all the time we have for today. Really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about how mental health of our students, our young people, are being supported in our community. Thank you again to our first guest, Linda from CMHA, Thames Valley. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in today for this important conversation in anticipation of Mental Health Week. We hope you're going to take the time to think, listen, and maybe apply this learning about how to show empathy to our friends, our family, our neighbors in the community and beyond. So thank you again for tuning in to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh, and we hope you'll join us again next week.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university, so they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
My daughter is 7 years old and has a frenemy. They have play dates that always end up in a fight or tears. This friend bosses her around and treats her poorly, but she still wants to be her friend. What's a parent to do? I would let them acquiesce